So I'm Jim Preston, and I want to explain the Moab brand trails to you. They're one of the earlier new trail systems that were put in. For a long time, we didn't have much single track. There was a lot of Jeep roads, and there was Porky, which was mostly a Jeep road, and the whole enchilada thing wasn't really together 15 years ago. And there was a little bit out at South Klondike and Merrimack and Monitor, but those are a little bit harder to get to, and most of that was just Jeep roads. So this area here is a great place to warm up. And if you look over here, you'll see that there's a lot of stuff for everybody. The beginner, intermediate, and advanced, and I'm pretty much expert on Killer Bee down here. So there is a big selection here. The scenery is quite nice in most places. It's a very popular area. So you come north out of Moab about, depends on where in Moab, but 6 to 8, 10 miles from wherever you are in Moab. And you come up here and you'll see a little sign that says Bar M Trails. It doesn't say Moab Brand Trails yet. That's the original sign. And you come down through here and into this parking lot. There's toilets there. It's nice. It's a huge parking lot. There's big events there like Outer Bike and lots of other events. So sometimes you'll see a lot of tents there, a lot of activity because there's events on weekends frequently in this area, in the hip season, spring and fall especially. So you park here, and there's a little road that goes out that's kind of flat, and it'll just take you out. And then right away, you're into really a great selection of trails. And I highly recommend to explore this area because there is a lot here for everybody. So if you're just a family, the small kids, so forth, and you don't want to take on, death-defying ride, then you continue over Bar M here, this road anyway, out to Bar M Trail, and there's a kind of a steep spot here, and there's some rocky stuff over here that kids would probably want to walk it. I don't want to fall on those rocks, broken rocks, but mostly that's all rideable. And then you get out to Bar M, and I think this direction's the more interesting way, but this works. People ride it all the time. There's a lot of slick rock out here for the kids to play on, and or if you're just getting familiar with mountain biking or anything else, this is pretty flat slick rock out here. You can go over into here. I like to show people who are new to mountain biking, just have them run around in circles here on Circle O, on the slick rock, or come out in here and play around the slick rock. Really pretty. It's really fun, and it's very scenic. You can see over towards Arches, and you can work your way along here. It gives quite a ride, and then you cut back over this road. There's a little gnarly descent in here, which is I think pretty fun. But and for a newbie, by this time they picked up some confidence, and what I've seen is they usually just drop down through it, just bounce around a little bit, and get some of their first dropping off little edges type experience. And then you get down in here, and you can just cut back to the parking lot. This is a paved bike trail. They call it the Old Highway, and it's a paved bike trail. It's a great descent back through here and down to Arches entrance and back right into town on a paved bikeway. You've also got these little trails right in here, which are easy. This stuff here, so you can do these and then cut back at any place and then back to the car that way, or let somebody ride down through here and shuttle the car back down to Arches or something like this, and pick people up. So there's a variety of different things you can do as a family. Then when you come out this way and you want to do something more interesting, these newer trails out here, there's a bunch of newer trails out here. This is a really popular loop right here. So easy is mostly easy. There's a few little rock spots like right in here and so forth, and there's a little rock drop I like right here a lot. Starts to you start getting feel like I can do this stuff, and so that's what these trails do, is they give you this I can do this stuff feeling and build confidence. There are some little climbs here that. It is pretty gnarly for a beginner, low intermediate. It would be a beginner would walk it, low intermediate may or may not attempt it, but it's a very short distance. And then it's also as you get to the intersection here, but this is kind of a wide spot, and then you climb up here. There's a road right here, and so you just climb on this little Jeep road. And then for lazy, there it's pretty easy to mostly here and there. There's some rocky stuff right in this area, and there's some ledges. There's a climb here with a ledge on it down in here that you know, it's going to be technically challenging for low intermediates. But everybody else, a little strength, you can just power up it. A great area up here to stop, catch your breath, and a big view, and just a common place where people are hanging out and looking around going, wow, why I'm here. I can't believe I'm here. It's just a good spot. Then you start hitting this flowy stuff through here. Now, this is a real flow trail. There's berms, not real big berms, but it's flowies out through just open country out here. A couple of little rocky spots and washes. There really isn't that much. Then you get over into just a lot of switchbacky, not switchbacks, but flowy type turns that'll take you down through here and back into here. So it's mostly easy with some intermediate sections here and there. Very, very popular. So if you've warmed up on this, what's very common is to go over here to North 40 and say, okay, North 40, I'm ready for something a little more exciting than lazy and easy. So you get up through here, there's some ledgy climbing in here, and it can be, you know, even mid-intermediate sometimes would have some problems with it. You take some high clearance bike and so forth, but you know, it's a little challenging, but again, it's very short, so you get off your bike and push it over, no biggie. Climb over here, there's some flowy stuff, of course, get a bunch of flowy things, and you climb up on this little ridge thing here, and then you start dropping down through here. This is really fun. Oh man, it's a blast through here. There's also a big like rock leaning over the trail here, which is a great place for selfies and all that. So yeah, please you know, enjoy the heck out of this. It's a great spot. And then you come back down here, and then there's a descent over here that can be a little scary to some people. So you know, if you're mid-intermediate even, this can be a little bit like, wow, looks like too much. And you can roll it. I mean, it's not a big technical thing that way, but it's steep, and there's some little edges and there's some rocks, and visually it's like a lot of this. Visually, it's much more challenging than it actually is to ride. So ride that thing if you possibly can. Build some confidence on these kind of trails. Then you know, if you're mid-level, intermediate or lower, I would just cut back along this way. There's a couple of challenges there for you for sure. Several challenges for you in here, but they're short, so you can walk them. Or you can come back over here, and this is pretty nice up in here. It's pretty fun. There is technical. You're hitting rocks and going up over them and so forth. And there's a real narrow spot that's I don't ride. Maybe I probably get around to it someday, but it's scary. So then you come back over here and you climb up this area here, and then this is just like ups and downs, the usual thing through here. And there's little rock features here and there to keep you interested, that's for sure. I mean, you're dropping off some stuff, you have to make some decisions, that kind of thing, and then you're done. Now, these are really popular during events such as Outer Bike. This is where people are testing their bikes, a lot of them. So it gets pretty crowded out in here. But everybody stops, everybody's polite. They stop and talk to each other about their bikes, and it's a very social experience besides being technically interesting, and a good place to test bikes. So now let's go over to Circle O. Now Circle O is all about slick rock, and it's really nice, almost all smooth slick rock. If you drop down into here, you're just dropping down through the slick rock. There's some places where the terrain is kind of V'd, like I don't know how this shows up in the video, but anyway, you come down like this and then abruptly have to pop up. So visually, it's scary, and it takes a few times to say, okay, you know, I think my bike can handle this. And you watch and see other people do it if you're lucky. And then just dive down into it. And your bike will, if you have one of the modern bikes, with, you know, 140 millimeters of travel or more, it's just going to lift you right out of it, especially if you're on a 29er. It's going to lift you right out of those V's, and then you're going to start feeling pretty good. You know, like, I can do this shit. So try them. You know, the first time, I know they're really scary for a second time, but you try them, and then once you get it, you'll be hitting these little things all over the place. Now, some people by then have said, you know, how do I get out of here? And I point out this road. So the road doesn't actually intersect right here. but you can see it, and it's kind of yeah, the dirt's been built up on the slick rock, so it's more like a berm or something coming on, or a dike or something like this, right there. And so you can easily see it. Just cross over, and you can say, okay, I'm going to go back and find something more safe. You know, Barium looks like where I want to be, or down in here. Even as advanced people, they get to here and say, okay, I had enough. You know, where's Dead Man's? How do I get there? So keep going if you can, if you want to. And again, there's a lot of great riding down through here. It's all slick rock, and you know, some places a little bit of sand or something, but really it's enormously slick rock. And you get over here, and here's the bailout road right here back to Bar M. Now, in here, you can you get a choice. You can go on to Rockin A, or continue on and then go someplace else. There's also a big like a little pond here or something. There's usually no water in it, or very little, but you can ride your bike around really fast, like on a race course or some kind of thing. So take your choice. I would prefer to come down here and then hit Barbie. I think Barbie is like super cool to do. It's one of the older ones, and even during big bike events, there's almost nobody out here. Very rare I see anybody out here, and I'd love to test a bike on this trail. I think it tells me a lot about the suspension, about the components, about the frame geometry. It's a really good place to test on. But you got some mesa riding like right through here. You make a little climb up, and then there's rocks to play around on. The ledges aren't particularly steep. There's some. It's mostly not. It's mostly flat through here, and big views all through here, especially over towards Arches. Very nice. So cruise along over here. Now when you get over here, you'll drop down through some rocks, and this can be a little challenging right here. For even upper intermediate might be a little challenge in some of this. You know, after you rode it a couple of times, you're familiar with it, then it's not so bad. But and it drops down into the creek, the wash right here. And so far, I haven't ever rode all of the wash. It's gnarly. It's black diamond for sure, and you take some familiarity with it. You got to do it enough so you really get this figured out. There's some big rocks here to bounce around on. So anyway, you can walk like 100 feet and you're out of that. So then this is flowy through here, and you get over to the top of Killer B. Now, if you're really nuts, you can drop down Killer B. But here we usually take the road and climb back up. It's, you know, annoying, but not bad climb. And then we just follow the road along this way and get back. Now here's where I would go to Rockin A, because I just seem to think Rockin A this direction is maybe a little bit more fun to ride, but that'd be really hard to tell actually. But Rockin A is kind of a choppy slick rock. It's not smooth like over here on Circle O, and so it's a great place to test bike suspension. And when I've got like a new fork or something I haven't tried before, and I really want to see how does this thing handle just constant chattery type rock, this is a great place to do it. So it's slick rock, but it's not really very slick in a lot of places. And in some places there's like a wall in front of you in the trail. And you know, you can try going up it. I guess if you're strong advanced, you can get up this stuff. I just lift my bike up onto it and then hoof it up over the trail, over the wall, and then continue on. So there's only a couple of spots like that. It's not bad at all. Most of it's very rideable, all through here and all. So it's really nice. And then you cut back here, and then wherever you're going from there. Back to here, back to Moab, back to the brewery. But for advanced, and there is intermediate down in here, but there's a lot of advanced. See, we're into this where it's a Dead Man's, Long Branch, Killer B. I mean, we've got some much more gnarly trail. So some advanced, just, you know, from the parking lot here, they'll just ride out here, and actually quite a few do, and then they'll just hit this area out here, which is pretty fun. Now this drops down to the paved bike path that goes from Moab out to 313, and then you can come back or do whatever. But to make it longer, there's some ups and downs through here, and there's some rocks, and there's some technical climbing down here that I find actually kind of difficult. It's challenging through here. You get up to here, and then you can just drop to here, and this is like I think pretty fun through here. So you drop down through here and then over to here, and then if you don't want to kill yourself, you take, whatever, you get back to wherever you want to go. So run this whole thing out, and as an intermediate, do it at least once. Just if you're intermediate used to rocks, upper intermediate or so, you can do some ledges, ups and downs, some ledges, and you're starting to feel like you can handle this. Then go ahead and drop through here. And Killer B is very challenging. There's some very steep stuff in there. You wonder what you're doing. And then there's these switchbacks down here that are very tight. They really weren't designed for mountain biking. I'm not clear what Killer B was supposed to be about, but they're very tight. And then you hit the paved bike path and back to whatever you're going to do. You climb back up through here to make it more interesting, and then get back that way, or come here, then back here, then hit the flow here. Just all of these different options that makes the Moab brand trails really a great place to get going in Moab, and you get familiar with these. It'll build your confidence up, and you're ready for the bigger, more, I would say more interesting in some respects anyway, trails like Navajo Rocks and so forth, where there's just more of this. But actually, it's kind of hard to find this. This is pretty technical through here. So that's it. Moab brand trails, great place. Check them out.